Talk Radio. We are the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. I am Dr. Dolapo Babalola, physician and owner of Life Wellness, which is a membership-based, holistic and integrative direct primary care practice in Marietta, Georgia. It's my honor today to be your show host for this evening's segment of the holistic perspective. So not only am I here to enrich you with information that would inspire you, but would enable you to make that impactful health change. So spring is in the air, right? And I thought it would be appropriate to talk about ways that we can optimize our health and reduce illnesses. So before we get started, I want to ask you these questions, right? What are you doing to prepare for spring? We hear that if you do not failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So what are you doing to prepare for spring? And then other questions I want you to have in mind is what spring cleaning activities are you engaging in? So tonight we're going to tailor conversations around the different effects of allergies, right? How do we first of all, how do we prevent these diseases and conditions that can arise from allergies? And then how can we treat? And then commonly asked questions. So I would like for you to tag a friend, a neighbor, stay updated with all our programs. We are live on all social media handles. So just name it. YouTube, Facebook, and certainly the WCG Talk Radio Network. So please stay in touch, stay in tune. Make sure that you're getting all this valuable content. All right. So not only are we here to make meaningful impact, but we appreciate your time and we want you to be a part of just the healthy living that we promote here. But before we get started, I have two quick announcements. The first one is the information shared on this talk radio is not intended as medical advice. So I'm going to be making general statements. I'm not privy to your own unique situation. So it's just information to help you on the journey. And then the second announcement is the views and opinions that are expressed by the host and the guest does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the WCG network management. So let's get started. Like to always start with a quote, an inspirational quote. And the one that I have here is an unknown author. And it says, spring is for fresh start and new beginnings. So I think that's powerful. So let's get right into it. So spring, I must say, that this season is, as much as I like that we're no longer in the cold season, it's one of those seasons that I'm not particularly fond of just because I do suffer from allergies and it can get really bad if I do not prepare ahead of time. So I think that it's important that we have this conversation. I don't know how many of you have issues with allergies. We've said farewell to the cold and the flu season, but now we're going to have to be dealing with sniffles and sneezes, right? Courtesy of the spring allergy season. So when we say seasonal allergies, another terminology that you might hear is called allergic rhinitis, all right, or pollen allergies. And this is just occurring from the pollens, right? So the protein, which is the pollen that is arising from the tree blossoming, all right? And unfortunately, this year it's estimated that we're going to have longer seasons, right? So we have the warmer temperature, the pollinating plants, all of them giving us longer seasons. And climate change is really what is impacting allergy season. So we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. So how do we get prepared? I guess before we get to that, we need to figure out what are some of those symptoms that one would experience with allergies so that you know and you're prepared. The thing about it is that if you're not, an allergy, which could be really simple, can very quickly turn into pneumonia if nothing is done. All right. It is estimated that a quarter of adults, pretty much 1 in 5, will experience seasonal allergies. So it's ranked to be the cost that comes from just treating allergies is almost 3 billion annually. So it's a really serious matter that we need to pay attention to. So let's get back to symptoms, right? How do you identify that you're having allergies and how does it come about? So it really comes about from the pollen related allergy throughout the year. So it could come from not just the trees, it could be ragweed. All these things lead to the symptoms that we experience. So some of the symptoms will be how your body reacts to the pollen, right? So it could be sneezing, runny nose, constantly congested, and watery eyes. That's the one I don't like at all because your eyes are just, itchy, and you're so tempted you want to rub your eyes. And unfortunately, when you rub it, then you can cause a superimposed infection. So not just the sneezing continuously, but then the eye feeling really heavy, um, itchy sinuses. That's what they call the sign. It's called a shiner because you're always doing this. So you have the sign around your nose. You can also have your ears because everything is connected. You have your ears blocked and clogged. And then there's a lot of sore throats, and that is post-nasal drip. So all the drainage from your nose goes to the back of your throat, and then you have like throat irritation. So those are like the basic symptoms that one can have from just allergies. All right. Now, if all of that is superimposed with a bacteria infection or a virus, it can make symptoms even worse. So what does that mean? If you have all that drainage and it's not well taken care of and it's been there for anywhere from 7 to 10 days, it's considered um, uncontrolled allergies. So you would now start having you're having like, pressure spots, headaches. You have all these symptoms that have now advanced other than the ones that I initially mentioned, then that becomes concerning. That is where we now have sinusitis. And sinusitis is a bacteria infection, which has been left, unresolved allergies that have become superimposed with a bacteria infection. Some people have bronchitis. If you have all that drainage and it settles down into the chest, some people can have bronchitis. Some people can even have walking pneumonia. So that's why we really need to do something about any form of allergy symptoms. All right. So the question is, what do we do? How can we prevent these symptoms from worsening? So a few things to keep in mind is knowing what the polling count is. So every day you want to take an educated decision as to polling count. For me, it gets tricky because I love the outdoors, but at the same time, I know what the pollen does to me. So some days I would probably just spend longer outside because fewer polling counts than other days where there's a higher number. I limit how much time I spend outside. And then if I have to be outdoors, which again we do, I make sure that I wear a mask. Okay, so a face mask. I wear my glasses because I've had really bad infection in my eyes because of rubbing it continuously, where I now had conjunctivitis, which is an infection of my eyelid. So I wear sunshades to protect my eyes. I wear masks to protect my nose and my mouth. So knowing the polling count is one. Always start there. Know the polling count. Make sure if you have to go outside, spend less time on days when you have higher counts than other days. Make sure you wear a mask. Make sure you wear glasses. All right. So that's one. Another aspect is certainly keep that pollen out of the house as much as possible. So this is certainly going to have to be a family affair. So making sure your shoes are outside, not inside. In my house, I fuss a lot about this because the kids will come in, bring all this stuff in, school bags, all those things. Everybody really, especially if you suffer from really bad allergies, everyone has to take precautions. So maybe find a container that you put everything in and you pick it from there, like coats or whatever, put it outside. So that's the first place. Make sure you keep the pollen outside. I was going to sneeze now. Excuse me. This just to prove that I do suffer from allergies. So keep the pollen outdoors, keep it outdoors. Make sure the windows are not cracked open, right, to let it in. I know fresh air is good, but if you really suffer from allergies, you have to find another way of getting your fresh air. So you want to just keep the windows, you want to keep those closed. Another thing you can do is install a HEPA filter. All right, so that helps to remove any potential allergies. Typically, we're supposed to change our filters as often as, I mean, it's estimated anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. I know for me, sometimes it's sooner because of really, terrible allergies. So installing that in your home will make a big difference, making sure that your filters are changed frequently. Spring cleaning is also a really big one. Spring cleaning, a lot of times this, dust, dander, all those things have accumulated in the house. So spring cleaning the carpets, all those things need to be taken care of. So spring cleaning is a good one. You want to wash your hands. Yeah, you go outdoors, come back in. Please wash your hands the same way that you do for flu and cold. Wash your hands, take a shower, um, get rid of all of that pollen that is on you. Again, whatever things that have sat in pollen, try to keep them outdoor, rinse and clean them outdoors. Don't bring them into the house. You certainly want to wash your hands. Make sure you avoid touching your eyes and your mouth and your throat. All those things are important. So, other things that I like to talk about that are very helpful, for me, I found that Georgia honey, whichever state that you're in, the pollen, the honey, right? For that local place is what you want to start taking before the season. So that works really well for me. A teaspoon of, I'm in Georgia, local honey really does help to decrease my reaction to the pollen. So local honey is good, a teaspoon of that. I love warm water and lemon. All right, so those are some things that you can do to prevent worsening of the condition of allergies, and you don't want it to get worse where it becomes something that you complicated. Now, you might need medications, all right? So what does that look like? What kind of medications will be helpful? Um, Antihistamines. So because the pollen, it's a protein that our bodies are reacting to. Some people react more than others. So an antihistamine comes in either in Zyrtec, loratadine, which is Claritin. There's so many of them out there. Some of them could be Benadryl. You would have to talk to your healthcare provider to figure out what works best for you. For me, the days where, I want to be outdoors, I really want the fresh air and I don't want to have to deal with the pollen, then I will take a Claritin. Claritins are usually once a day. There is a different that it's over the counter, but there's a prescription where it has a different aspect to it. So you would need a prescription for that. So Claritin with Flonase. Flonase is just a nose spray that you spray. When you spray it, the way you administer it matters. So you tilt your head, you spray the nose spray, the Flonase into both nostrils, two at a time, two here. So it either comes in a spray or a mist. Those work really well. I tend to do those at night. I sleep, I have a restful night, I don't have blocked nose, and I wake up with my nose being cleared. All right, so antihistamines is definitely one as an allergy medication. Just be mindful because it's drying out your sinuses. You could be dry and feel like you need to stay hydrated. So that's important. Other things is a decongestant. If you're having all that drainage or you're having cough, uncontrollable cough, a decongestant is helpful. Other things that are helpful is the nasal spray. The Flonase is great, but some people might need a steroid spray because if they're having a lot of bogginess, the body is just overreacting to the histamines. So some people might need a steroid decongestant. Eye drops, there are allergy eye drops. What I found is using those eye drops, there's so many of them over the counter, but you want to use those early and you want to avoid itching your eyes. I usually walk around with a cloth, a towel, a warm compress so that I can pad my eyes so that and of course wearing my glasses so that I prevent rubbing my eyes. But eye drops are really good. There are eye drops for just clear allergies, and there are eye drops that is a prescription, which is an antibiotic prescription, especially if you've caused an infection to your eye because you've rubbed and it becomes crusty. We don't want to get to that point. But if that does happen, you would need an antibiotic air eye drop to take care of that because it's been superimposed with an infection. All right. I already talked about natural honey is really good. Essential oils. I love essential oils like the eucalyptus, the peppermint. All of those things help clear your sinuses, prevent overreaction of the sinuses. So those are some things to be mindful of. Now, I always talk about food as energy, right? Food as medicine. We have to build our immune system, especially during, I mean, certainly the same thing you do for the cold and flu season, you want to do it for the allergy season. You want to make sure that your soldiers are ready to fight, any virus that gets superimposed, any bacteria. So there's some powerful herbs that I like to recommend and I use all the time. So turmeric is a good one. Turmeric, garlic, ginger, all of those are anti-inflammatories. They are packed with antioxidants, and antioxidants just means it gets rid of oxidation, it gets rid of inflammation, and it has immune supporting compounds, right, that help my body defend me well enough. So I usually do lemon water and a little bit of honey, and I take that in the morning when I wake up just to help me with um, you know, my infection fighting ability. So those are some things that you can consider. It helps to reduce inflammation, helps to even decrease the time. So like, let's say, you're having a really bad exposure, but when you take all these powerful herbs, it actually decreases the severity, right? It reduces the severity. So lots of great benefits. I also mention other things other than ginger, garlic, turmeric, black pepper. Oregano is also a really good one. It has an bacteria compound, which helps to fight bacteria, virus, and just does it naturally. So oregano is good. There's also this Asian Chinese herb that helps to strengthen the immune system. It's called astragalus. It has a very interesting name. Yeah, but these are some herbs that are really, really good that you want to adapt into your day to day, so that you stay healthy, you stay strong during this season. So let's switch gears and answer commonly asked questions. I know some questions tend to come up quite a bit. Um, so some questions that I've had people ask me in the past is, what can I do like the nose. There's some they call them the nose pods. Some people can tolerate it. I've never really been able to tolerate them well, where you spurt into one nose and you drip the other nose so that it flushes out. Some people are able to tolerate that. If you are fine, some people will do like they'll put peppermint in a warm water and then they'll put a towel over their head so that they can sniff it. You can do it that way if you can tolerate it, or you can just have essential oils that is natural and then just illuminate the room or whichever space you're in with essential oils. So that's another way. Another commonly asked question is, I need antibiotics for allergies? The answer is no. You don't need antibiotics for allergies at all. Um, Allergies is not a bacterial infection. It's just your body reacting to pollens, right? And usually, if you treat it properly, you're following all the steps that I've shared with you, you should be fine. But if after 7 to 10 days, as I mentioned initially, you're not feeling better, it's getting worse, you're congested, you're having pressure, you're coughing continuously, then you need to see your doctor. They would listen to your lungs, they would examine you, see what's going on to determine if you need antibiotic. Okay, so that's number two. Number three, this question comes up quite a bit. That can you have, the question tends to be like, can you develop asthma from allergies, or can you develop what we call COPD, that is the obstructive lung disease? So asthma doesn't necessarily come from allergies. It's just that some people's asthma could be flared up, so they will have asthma-like symptoms because of allergies. I know my son used to wheeze during the allergy season because I suffer from allergies. He suffers as well. And so it was called allergy-induced asthma. But it usually fades away once the season is over. So asthma on its own, there's several reasons that can trigger it, but you would definitely need to talk to your doctor to find out if that is really what is going on, with the asthma. And then congestive heart failure, the congestive lung disease, the COPD, typically smoking. That's why you want to really cut back smoking. Any of those things that is going to harm your lungs, you want to cut back on those because that can worsen any symptoms of allergies, but congestive, just a chronic obstructive lung condition on its own cannot just happen from just one bout of allergy symptoms. So it has to be something that has damaged the lungs over a long period of time. So yes, so that's what we have today, talking about allergy. We're going into the spring season. We need to be mindful that it's going to be longer this year because of climate change. We need to be prepared so that we don't get caught unawares. Again, remember, monitor the count that is out there before you head out. Just a few weeks ago, I felt, I was like, what's going on? Why is my eyes feeling heavy? And that was because I wasn't prepared. It started early. It's starting early and it's even going to be longer. So we want to be prepared. If we're not prepared, we're going to have a rough season. So we need to be mindful. I know for sure that I'm going to be wearing my mask because I want to spend some time. I'm going to be doing some training and I want to spend some time outdoors. It might just be that I'm going to have my Claritin that I take and take it in the evening so that it helps me. It's a 24 hours, so it helps me with the day and the way my body reacts to it. So yeah, so that's what we have. I want again to just ask the question that I asked when I started, that how prepared are you for spring, right? Are you prepared? Have you started doing spring cleaning? Are you making sure that you don't have cracks in your windows? Your door is not left open, right? You want to start looking at that. You also want to make sure that if you're somebody that reacts heavily, whichever state you're in, local honey is a good one to do. It has to be local honey, not one that is filled with all sorts of added sugar. So you want to be mindful of that. And I want to end with this quote. I think it's really appropriate. It says, "Spring will come, and so will happiness. Hold on, life will get warmer." I think that's a cool one because, every season comes with its beauty, but it also comes with a health related situation if you're not prepared. So I thought that this was a really good one. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Please, again, remember that the WCED, we're here to impact information that can help you on your health and wellness journey. So please make sure that if you're listening live, leave a question. If it's a replay, leave a question. We're here to support your goals. And the intention is that you live at your finest well-being because certainly you're worth it. So until next month, I want you to take care and God bless.